Hi, I'm starting a new series of IELTS speaking exercises where I will cover book-wise all the speakings. Now you can buy this particular book or you can have a look at it here. This book is available on Amazon. I'm also sharing the link below in this video. You can click on that link and buy these books. Now these books are ideal for your IELTS preparation. If you do all the exercises from this book, you will be able to crack the IELTS exam very well. I also provide private coaching, so you can approach me for that. Book 1 has the old speaking exercises. So I will not do the book 1 speaking exercises. I will start off with book 2 speaking exercises. And also I'll tell you how to answer and how to go about solving this test. So first we'll start with book 2, IELTS book 2. This is Cambridge English book which you can order. I am picking up the first speaking test, and I will answer all the questions here. You can see the questions even on the screen as I solve them. I have them in front of me right now. So as you enter the examination hall, you will be one-on-one with the examiner. She will ask you to hand over your passport, and initially there will be certain ice-breaking questions. After that, she will move on to the part 1 where she will pick up a topic and ask you simple questions on that topic. You have to answer those in 3 to 4 lines as I do here now. You will see me do it. After that, you will move on to part 2 where a cue card or a scenario will be given to you, and you have to speak on that scenario for about 2 minutes. Now ensure that you speak enough. If you speak less, she will ask you to continue and speak more. So kindly ensure that you speak enough and you cover 2 minutes. Post the cue card, you will have follow-up questions where she will ask again simple questions to you, and you have to answer again in 3 to 4 lines. Ensure that you never complete any question by answering in one word or by answering in one sentence. You have to speak at least 3 to 4 lines. As you do that, also keep in mind that you don't make any grammar mistakes, and you try to use vocab which is better than your normal English. So few words which you can throw here and there when you speak, which have certain weightage, which are not commonly used, will help you score a better band. Okay. Let me solve the part 1, the test 1 of book 2. Alright. So please hand over me your passport. This is what the examiner will tell you. Yes ma'am, here is my passport. Can you please tell me your name as it is mentioned on the passport? My name on the passport is Manali Welling. Alright. How should I address you? This is what the examiner will ask you. How should I address you? Ma'am, you can refer me as Manali, or you can call me as Manali. Alright Manali, let's talk about jewelleries. The topic that I select for you is jewelleries. I'll ask you a few questions on it, and I request you to answer those. So tell me, do people in your country ever wear jewellery such as rings and necklaces? Yes, people in my country do wear a lot of jewellery. They love to wear a lot of ethnic jewellery as well as traditional jewellery. Rings, necklaces, bangles are common form of jewelleries that people in my country wear. If you happen to visit a marriage, you will see people dressed in a lot of gold jewellery. So Indian culture talks about a lot of jewelleries that people love to wear. Next question. What kind of jewellery do you like? I personally like jewelleries which are very simple. I do not like gaudy jewelleries. I don't like to wear heavy sets. So I would like to wear a simple chain or a simple ring complemented with a simple earring. So I do not like to wear a lot of diamond jewelry or gaudy jewelry. Okay, now this was a very personal question, so I have given a personal answer. You cannot copy paste my answers. So if a boy has to answer this, it will be completely different. Yeah. So make your own answers, keep it personalized, customized and simple. Okay, correlate to each question, because then you can answer any question that is asked to you with ease. If you are not able to correlate, it will be difficult for you to answer. You will fumble, you will think what to answer. So try and correlate yourself. Now the next question, have you ever brought or received jewelry as present? Yes, I have brought a lot of jewelry myself. Also, I have received a lot of jewelry as present. Collection of gold jewelry in India is considered as collection of wealth, and I have loved to do that. So definitely I have done a lot of gold jewelry shopping and also received a lot of gifts when it comes to gold jewelry, and I have accumulated a lot of them. Next question. What can jewelry tell us about the person who is wearing it? Jewelry gives an insight to us about the personality of the person who is wearing it. Now someone who likes to do a lot of show off will wear a lot of gaudy jewelry, will wear a lot of jewelry. And people who are simple will like to wear simple form of jewelry. So definitely jewelry tells us not just about the wealth but also about the personality of an individual, whether he is down to earth, he or she is down to earth, a simple person or a person who likes to show off, can be understood from the kind of jewelry that he or she wears. Now that's the end of the part 1. We are now moving to part 2. Part 2 is a challenging part where a scenario is given to you and you have to speak continuously for 2 minutes. So it's a monologue where you have to non-stop talk for 2 minutes. Now understand, here you get 1 minute to make your points. The cue card is given to you in the form of a chit or in the form of a card. Now when you get this, you have to quickly look at the questions and start making your points in the notepad that is given to you. Don't write stories in the notepad, you don't have that much time. You get just a minute, so make bullet points, okay? You have to keep the cue card in front of you and also the points that you have made in front of you when you answer this question. Do not give gaps. And don't read out the question when you are solving this cue card, okay? So when you are speaking, you have to read by your eyes and you have to continue speaking. 2 minutes tak you have to continuously talk, okay? So this cue card is a challenge when it comes to IELTS speaking test. If you have not spoken enough, the examiner will ask you to continue. She will not interrupt in between. She will just show hand movements and ask you to continue the way I am doing right now. Also understand that this whole speaking is recorded. She will record you when you are speaking, okay? It's an audio recording. So any grammar mistakes which you might have made while speaking by mistake, rectify it at the same time when you are speaking. If you ignore it, she will consider that those mistakes are the correct form of English according to you. Right? So it will get registered as a mistake. But if you correct it, it will show a human error and it will show that you know the right answer, you know the right statement and you have corrected it. Right? So keep that in mind. There is no problem in correcting. There is a problem if you do not correct. Okay? So let's move to the cue card. The question that I have here is, I'll read it out for you, but in the examination, the examiner will not read it out. She will just hand over this cue card in a form of a chit or a card to you. Yeah, you'll have to keep the chit. Do not scribble on her cue card. You get a separate notepad to make your points. So make your points only in that notepad. Right? She will mention that you should not spoil her cue card. Okay. Now the question here is, describe an important national park in your country. Okay, you should say where it is, how you know about it, what people can see and do there, and explain why this national park is important. Okay, I will try and be spontaneous here. I'm not going to take a minute to make the points. I'll be very spontaneous and I'll go about solving this cue card. The important national park in my country, especially in my area, is Jijamata Udyan. This national park is lately known as
Victoria.
It's lately known as Victoria National Park. It is located in CST, which is VT station. It is in the center of Bombay. It is located in the heart of Mumbai, and it has lot of animals, wild animals, domestic animals, as well as birds. I know about this national park because when I was a child, I insisted to see a lot of wild animals that I have always read in the books and seen in the books. And that is how I was taken to this national park by my family. I also got a chance to visit this national park in a college picnic. So I have been here twice and I have seen the wild animals that are kept here, and I have been extremely amused to see these animals live in front of me rather than watching them all on Wildlife Channel or in the books as pictures. Lot of students visit here, lot of families visit here, and lot of college excursions, school picnics are held in this national park. People can not just see the animals, but they can also feed them. They can take pictures of these animals. They can learn the wild names of these animals, make notes. This national park is famous also for a lot of sports activities that students and families play here. There's a huge ground in the center where people can spend good time. So this is not just a park for educational purpose, but also for having fun with your family members. You can have a good time here. This national park is very important because it attracts a lot of tourists also in my country, especially in Bombay. People who come from different countries visit here to see the wild animals that we have collected in the national park, to see how they are maintained, and also to see the kind of food habits that they have here. Not just the animals, but also the different kind of birds and different species of plants are also studied here. A lot of botanical excursions happen in this national park. So from the educational point of view, it holds a lot of importance, because if we go to see, we will never be able to see these wild animals in our day-to-day life, and such educational excursions are of lot of importance, because what you see is what you believe, and you can see all these wild animals in this national park, which you can't see otherwise in your day-to-day life. So that ends the cue card. I have spoken for more than 2 minutes, I believe. I have tried to use words like excursion, educational trips, and few other words like botanical names. So these all will add to a good score in the IELTS exam. Alright. So you need to have vast reading. These kind of words will only come when you have voracious reading. Okay. Because any topic can come, and you need to have a vocab of that particular topic. So you have to, either if you are not a good reader, you have to prepare for this exam. There are a lot of books available. If you want me to share with you that kind of material, train you, you can get in touch with me. Alright. Now let's move ahead to the third part, which is follow-up questions. Now you don't have to give any monologue. Okay. You have to answer in 3 to 4 sentences. Do not answer in one word. Do not answer in one sentence. Okay. Minimum 3 to 4 lines each question. The follow-up questions will be somewhere connected with the cue card which we just did. So there will be some sort of connection, but it won't be a complete similar set of questions. There will be some connection. So the follow-up questions here are now about creating national parks. So the examiner will ask, why do governments create national park in their countries? Government creates national park in their countries for two reasons. One is they want to ensure that different kind of wild animals, birds and plants are maintained in their country, and they can create samplings of different plants which they can plant in different parts of their country. Also, same goes for the wild birds and animals, wildlife. They want a different kind of species to exist in their country, and national park is the best place to breed and collect different kind of species. Also, it acts as the best educational ground to see these animals live. Also, it attracts a lot of tourists, so that is a way for the country to earn a lot of money by the tourists that visit these national parks. There is a nominal ticket that is charged to every visitor. That is why government wants national park in their countries. Next question. What are the disadvantages of using large area of your countryside to make a national park? Well, there are not many disadvantages, but if I have to say a few disadvantages, I would say that national park, which occupies a large area, can also create a lot of traffic jams, because a lot of people will visit here in their vehicles, and that may create a lot of rush. Also, it could occupy a place which could have been used for industrial development or development of any kind of factories or offices, which has now been allotted to these wild animals to this national park. So these can be certain disadvantages of having a large area being utilized for a national park. Next question. Are there any benefits for local people when a national park is created in their region? How do you think national parks should be funded? I think the locals are benefited a lot if there is a national park in their area. The tourists that visit this national park, or the students that visit this national park, are going to eat, are going to shop in the areas around, and that gives a lot of business to the local people. There will be a lot of transportation, so the public transport in that area will also earn a lot of revenue. The food market, the clothing market around will earn a lot of money through the visitors who will shop in this area. The funding to the national park should be done by the government. Also, there can be a lot of private funds that can be raised in order to take care of this national park. Now remember, there were two sets of questions in this. So as you go ahead, the questions will get complicated. There will be two sets of questions. So remember the question when it is asked and answer both parts of the question. Do not miss answering the second part. So remember the questions, okay? And do not ask the examiner to repeat the question. That reflects as poor listening skills, poor memorizing skills. So whatever is asked, keep that in mind and answer. When you're giving the answer, give a holistic answer. So do not limit yourself to a particular point. Try to cover all possible points pertaining to that answer. Okay, so your thought process matters, your communication skills matters, grammar matters, vocab matters. Okay, thought process matters a lot. So you need to have a wide thought on every particular question, wide range of thought. Okay. Next question. Now we will talk about protecting international areas. Okay, what kind of areas need protection is what we are going to talk ahead, which is the final section of the speaking. Now here the questions will be a little more complicated. You'll have to think, okay, before you answer. It won't be as easy as jewelry or something, which we did in the part 1. Now the question here is, what kind of area do you think needs international protection? How important it is to protect these areas? International protection should be given to areas especially which are no man's land. So the border areas or the areas which are disputed are the special areas which will need international protection, which will need protection from more than one country's military, army or navy. So basically these are no man's land which will need international protection, and it is very important to protect these areas so that there is no illegal activity happening here or there is no grabbing of land happening here. Next question. How easy do you think it is to reach international agreements about protecting some areas? Well, it is not easy. This involves a lot of political disagreements. This involves a lot of international consensus, and to achieve that, a lot of countries have to come together, reach consensus, and not just reach consensus verbally or on papers, but they have to follow these agreements when they are implemented. So definitely it is not easy. Each leader has his own view. Each country has its own benefit in mind. So it is a difficult task for sure. Last question. Do you think there will be problems in implementing such agreements, and why? Yes, definitely there will be problems in implementing such agreements. Sometimes a lot of international agreements are signed under pressure. They are signed for other trade benefits. However, when it comes to implementation, definitely there is conflict of interest, and that is where implementing such international agreements is a tough task, and all these nations who participated in the agreement have to have a strong hold internationally to implement such agreements. That ends the first test of book 2. I will be solving all the tests on speaking. Kindly do not copy my answers, but take them as information and customize it when you are answering. The same questions may not repeat in the exam, but you may have these questions coming as your writing task, or you may have these questions coming in a slightly different format. But if you have covered all the books, that is from book 1 to book 14 or 15, which is latest available in the market, you will be able to score band 8 easily. For private coaching, you can contact me. Thank you so much for your time and watching my video. Online classes and classroom coaching available. Contact us now.